You might have noticed that so far in our lessons we haven't said anything about black and white, so let's go ahead and correct that now. And you're familiar with this image of Courtney that we've been working on. Let's also take a look at this combination portrait and landscape shot that was shot in the Dolomites of northern Italy of a couple of my workshop students. And by the way, if you've never been there, you need to put this on your bucket list. It's unbelievable. Let's go back to the image of Courtney, and I love it as a color shot, but let's take a look and see what it's going to look like in black and white. First thing I want to do, though, is show you how not to do it. And you may be tempted to just do it the simple way by clicking on Image, Adjustments, Vibrance, and then taking this saturation slider and then just pushing it all the way to the left. And that works. And if you like that, then I guess okay. But you're really limiting yourself in making this image look as good as it possibly can by doing it this way. So let's cancel this. Best way to convert a color image into black and white is to come up to Image, Adjustments, and here's the black and white link right here. We're going to go to this dialog box, and you'll notice that it looks exactly the same as taking the saturation slider and moving it all the way to the left. But see these sliders up here in the dialog box? Let's pull this down to here. You have reds, yellows, greens, and so on. Well, you can adjust each color in the color image individually. Let me show you what I mean. Now here's the reds, and if we move the reds lighter, look what happens to the image. That's pretty cool, huh? Now you take the yellow slider, move it to the right, same thing. And you may like that. Or you may want to do the opposite. You may want to take it down as a special effect. And like we've repeated 100 times, everything is subjective. But the point is that you have a lot of control over how this final image is going to look as a black and white by coming to the black and white panel in Photoshop. Now, a lot of people are into what's known as high key, and what that means really is just blasting the image a little bit overexposed. And we can do a high key effect by simply pushing these red and yellow sliders over to the right as far as you think the image looks good. Then we hit OK. Now, the second step in the process is to come up to Image, Adjustments, Curves, and then we can round things off. We can increase the contrast to completely get rid of the sweater. We can just darken it ever so slightly or really increase that high key effect just like that. The other way to do it is take this and go straight across. I'm not a big fan of that because it blasts everything. But there's something to be said for the high key effect if that's your thing. Let's go ahead and hit cancel. And we'll come to our history states and we'll back up and we'll start again. Image, Adjustments, black and white. And I think my personal preference would be simply to just brighten this a little bit. Just about to right there. Hit OK, and then the second step in the process is come to Image, Adjustments. We'll get the Curves dialog box and then finish the image off by just giving it a little bit of brightness, just like that. And I like the sweater showing in the image, but I really like that result. That's very, very good. Let's take a look at the landscape image now. And I think it looks great as a color shot. But let's see what happens when we convert it to black and white. Come up here, go to black and white, and it really doesn't look very good, just as a standard conversion. We need to adjust things. Now, as we did in the portrait, we can take these sliders, run them to the right, to increase the look of that sunset light on those rocks behind them there. Come over here just like that. But now the sky where the clouds are, they look kind of dull. They don't look very good. They looked better in the color image, but let's see what we can do to dress this up some. Okay, we take this blue slider and instead of pushing it to the right, we push it to the left. Oh, look at that. It darkens the blue color in relation to the black and white environment. And then cyan's very close to blue, and we'll adjust this one too. We'll come this way, and look at that. So we can adjust these any way you want to. Now, let me just give you a couple of words of warning about the green and the yellow sliders. Strangely enough, if you've got a green like trees or a lawn or something that's purely green, you'll get a much better result by adjusting the yellow slider. Now, this little area right here of grass on the hillside, if we adjust this to the right and brighten it or darken it, you see we get much more reaction out of the yellow slider. But if we take the green slider, see? Nothing. It's just one of the idiosyncrasies of this panel. So let's do a little more work on the sky. Push that down like that. And hit OK. Now, personally, I think this image needs to be cropped. There's a lot of dead space right here in the front that's really detracting from the mountains and the sky in the background. So let's go get the crop tool. And I've got the options bar here with ratio. And then what happens is that if you want to do what they call unconstrained cropping, then leave these two areas blank. You'll remember that we had an 8:10 value established up here. Well, if you just blank these out, you can crop it to any way you want to. So what we're going to do is come to the bottom, grab this little tab right here and push it up just about to right there. I don't want to get it too far into the mountains. We'll go ahead and hit enter, and there's the result. And plus, too, I think it looks a little better with a little bit of a landscape orientation to it rather than just a square image. Now, the other things you may have noticed in this image is that we have sensor dust. Remember what we do about sensor dust. We come get the spot healing brush, and we click on it right here, and then we click on it right here. I think there's a little spot right here. And remember what we're going to do? We're going to look at it at 100%, and we're going to survey the image just to make sure that we don't have any more sensor dust, and I don't see any. Sometimes on cloud pictures, it's difficult to separate the sensor dust from the patterns in the clouds. And I think it looks just fine. Maybe this is a little bit of something. Reduce the size of the brush, click on that, and it goes away. Command or Control 0 to go back to full view. I think the image could maybe use a little more contrast in the mountains. I am being a bit nitpick here with this, but let's just see what we can do. Image, adjustments, curves, and then we come down here just like that and come up just a little bit, before and after. And I think that really sets the image off really, really well. So, black and white conversions in Photoshop.